This is Dave at AFX Search Investigative Agency. Get a lot of questions from clients who are looking to get a background check on a person or even sometimes a company. The question comes up is, how do I get a national background check? The first thing to understand is, especially if you hear this from an investigator, there's no such thing as a national background check. If you're talking to an investigator who is representing a national background check, be aware that this specific type of product does not exist, especially if it's called an FBI background check. There's no national database of criminal records that could be searched at one time that will give all the information on a subject. The way a background check is performed is at local jurisdiction areas. So if a person lives in a particular county, let's say Palm Beach County, Florida, you're going to look at the criminal records in Palm Beach County and in the state of Florida. They're two separate searches, one for the county records, one for the state records. If that person previously lived in Georgia, you're going to want to search in Georgia or in the county where they lived. That creates a complication if the person has moved in different areas, because you're going to have to search all of those areas. The proper way to do an extensive background check to get all that information is to start with an ownership chain or a residential chain of history. Look at where that person lived throughout their history, and you can't go by where they say they lived. The first step an investigator will take is to look at their residential history as an investigator, where they had utility bills, where they had cell phone bills, where they had cars registered, where they had employment. We're going to look at all those things and create that historical list of residences or even associations with an area. From there, we'll run a criminal background check in each one of those areas. It's a lengthy, time-consuming process, and that's usually what is desired by a client when you want to get good information on a subject. There are cheaper ways to do background check depending upon what you need as a client and what needs to be complete. If you just need basic information and don't need all the records, you can maybe do a database search of their local area. You may be able to even do an online internet search. But if it's for a crucial decision making of employment, which has its own laws that go along with it, or doing business with a person, or even associating with a person as a colleague, you want to make sure that you're getting the information that's going to make sure your decision is accurate. God forbid you run a search, it's not complete, there's some criminal history that's not discovered, and then the person creates some harm to somebody else, damage, financial fraud, and other people are going to ask, well, why didn't you do a background check? Why didn't you find this out? The last thing you want to do as a client is be in a situation where somebody who you put trust into hurts another person, steals money, damages your business, and now you're having to answer to employees, investors, the police, maybe customers, of why this person was allowed to have contact with them. And if you don't do a full background check, you may be in that situation. So as you're doing a background check, understand what your provider is actually doing. Whatever investigator is performing your search, ask them what process they're using. If they're just subbing it out to some outside background check firm, find out how that is being performed. What do they use? Are they just using online database records, or are they thoroughly investigating the history of that person? Sometimes that history involves actual interviews with colleagues or known associates to find out where they did live or other places they may have been and incurred criminal histories.